Coming up on today's edition of Locked On Eagles, it's the week of the 2022 NFL Draft, and it's Monday, so it's our final mock draft Monday of the offseason.
You are Locked On Eagles, your daily Philadelphia Eagles podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
We thank you so much for making Locked On Eagles your first listen each and every day. Today's podcast is brought to you by Built Bar. Make sure you head over to built.com and use the promo code LOCKED15, that's LOCKED15, for 15% off your next order. Welcome in, Eagles fans, to the final mock draft Monday of the 2022 NFL offseason. We have made it. It's the week of the NFL draft. The first round kicks off at 7:30 Eastern time in Las Vegas on Thursday night. The Eagles have two first-round picks, the 15th and 18th overall selections. They have 51 in round 2, 83 and 101 in round 3, and they have a bunch of picks on day 3 as well, rounds 4 through 7. Gino and I will be live throughout the first round. We'll go live for the selections in the second and third round as well. So make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel for live video content, the podcast feed, because we got 5 more shows still dropping this week, including our reactions after the selections on Thursday and Friday. We're available on all podcast platforms, and we're on Twitter at LockedOnBirds, at DiBiase, LOE, at GC24_football. I personally have not been this excited about a draft since 2016 when they traded up for Carson Wentz. With 2 selections in the first round, with 5 total in the first 3 rounds, there is a lot of talent that this Eagles team could build. And while it's more exciting, just naturally when you trade up for a franchise quarterback, this has, not the same excitement, but it's pretty damn close. And we'll see what the Eagles do. Do they trade up on day 1? Do they trade down? Does Howie Roseman actually stay put? He already technically hasn't stayed put because he made that trade with the Saints to collect a 2023 extra first-round pick. But I'm just so ready to get some results. I love speculation season. It's honestly my favorite time of year to do the show. Not even the regular season or the draft itself, but from February till this week. That is my favorite time, with mock drafts, with rankings, with, theories and scenarios. It's my favorite time, but I will say I'm ready to get this underway and see what actually happens, because on Mock Draft Monday, guys, we've done 13, 14 of these over the last few months. We've been doing them since they got blown out against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I've been doing mock drafts since they got blown out of that Raiders game in Las Vegas when they dropped to 2-5. And we've done every scenario. Again, trade ups, trade downs. What happens if they double dip at certain positions? What if they wait at a certain spot or they take somebody early? We've really hit on everything. So today's mock draft is going to simply just be me doing my best job to nail the draft. There's going to be just whatever I see fit with how the board falls. It's not what I think they're going to do. It's not what I think is going to happen. This is simply, I'm going to be Howie Roseman. This is what I would do with my final mock draft and send it out in style. And thank you guys so much for, really getting through the offseason with us and having us be your first listen each and every day. It's been such an honor. Again, this was our 5th offseason for Locked On Eagles doing the show. Yes, since the Super Bowl offseason after 2017. And it was another one for the books for sure, especially with our partnership with Fox 43, getting to do YouTube for you guys, getting to, interact with a whole new part of the Eagles online community was really great. So let's finish this Mock Draft Monday season off in style. And we're going to start off with the Eagles selections at 15 and 18 overall. And so taking a look at the board, most likely in this scenario, Howie Roseman would have tried to trade up, because look at who went from 10 to 14. Jermaine Johnson, Drake London, Kyle Hamilton, Jamison Williams, and Jordan Davis. Those are all players I think the Eagles would really like to fall to 15, at least one of them. And if not, they would certainly consider trading up for. Unfortunately, the corners went way too early. Sauce Gardner went 3 overall to the Houston Texans. You had Derek Stingley going at 9 to the Seattle Seahawks. Very likely to happen. And that Ravens team right in front, man, I think they're going to take Jordan Davis if he's there. So you might try to trade up with the Jets and Joe Douglas. You call him up at 10. Maybe you see, I doubt Washington would want to trade with you. Maybe Minnesota would be willing to make a move, or even Houston to get right in front of Baltimore. But the issue, guys, is it takes two to tango sometimes. Look at 2014. Sometimes there's just nothing you can do. And if all these teams want these players just like you do, like, why would they move their spot? And so, again, I think the realistic scenario here would be Howie Roseman does try to trade up or trade down, but we've done so many of those scenarios. I want to see what he would do with this kind of board. I think he would probably trade down, even though he should take Malik Willis here if he fell. But I'm going to stay put because I think there are still players on this board at positions they need that they have kind of neglected for a long time that they should select. And trust me, I'll still be moving on the board in this mock draft. But, I don't want to trade down from this spot, even in this scenario. Again, I would take Malik Willis, but, for the sake of the realistic chances they actually did that, we're going to pass on it. And I'm looking at the cornerback prospects. I personally think there's still enough receivers that I'd be willing to wait at 18, heck, maybe even trade down, maybe trade up from the 51st overall pick in round 2. You still got Chris Olave on the board, Treylon Burks, Jahan Dotson, Sky Moore, Christian Watson, George Pickens. That's 6 players, I should say, that I really like on day 1 and day 2. And again, with receiver, I just think corner and safety, their positions you need to address more. The edge class did not fall. To me, this would be reaching on the trenches. Just because you take linemen, it's what you do. I wouldn't take George Karlaftis here or David Ajabo. I wouldn't take Zion Johnson. I don't want an interior offensive lineman in the first round. Linebacker, yeah, Devin Lloyd and Nakobe Dean are on the board. But again, I think when it comes to the overall combination of need, best player available, just value, depth of these classes, I'm looking at cornerback because I think there's a substantial drop-off after these top 3, Trent McDuffie, Andrew Booth, and Kaiir Elam. After those 3, I think safety, you could wait. I think receiver, you could wait. Linebacker, I think the edge class is really deep. I think you can get an offensive lineman on day 2 if you want. Cornerback, I love Tariq Woolen. You guys know it. I don't think he's getting to 51. And I think, again, after those top 5, Stingley, Gardner, and again, no order, Booth, Elam, and McDuffie, there's a drop-off. And this Eagles team needs to come away with a young, long-term piece on the outside at the cornerback position. And so I'm going to take the guy that I like the most of these 3, McDuffie, Elam, and Booth. I'm going to go with Andrew Booth Jr. from Clemson. I just think personally he has the most upside of those prospects. I think he fits in zone, in man coverage. I think he can play press. He's got the length and the quick hips. I think he also has the instincts and the awesome ball skills, the reactionary ability to play off the line of scrimmage. He can play in the slot. I don't think he's a mismatch really against a bigger or smaller receiver. I think overall he has it. The issue is really the injuries. Can he stay healthy? You've had that issue before with Sidney Jones, but I don't think Andrew Booth, he's not injury prone to that level where he's coming off a torn Achilles. I think this team needs to finally take a corner in the first round for the first time since Lito Shepherd over a decade ago, 15 years ago. They've only taken 1 corner in the first 2 rounds in the last 10 years or twice, but Howie Roseman has only done it once with Sidney Jones because it was Chip Kelly who took Eric Rowe in 2015. So I'm going to go with Andrew Booth there, the cornerback from Clemson, with the 15th overall selection. And now at 18, here's where I would start to look to move. I think if a team wanted Malik Willis, right? The New Orleans Saints at pick 19, the Pittsburgh Steelers at pick 20. I think that, or if a team wants to come up and get a wide receiver like Olave or Treylon Burks, I think the Eagles might be willing to move down here because there's still all of those 6 receivers are on the board. You look at safety, I like Hill, Seen, Brisker, and Petrie, but I think value-wise, you'd be better off moving down and still having a chance at those players. I just think, again, linebacker you could go with here, but I think the best outcome here would be to let a team, that needs a receiver that could use a quarterback to move down here. So we're going to call up the Green Bay Packers, and we're going to see if they would move up from 22 to 18 to get Aaron Rodgers a wide receiver so that the Eagles can focus more on value here. And quite frankly, I want to get a safety here. I want to come away with a safety. I think they desperately need it, both short-term and long-term. In the modern day NFL, you need a Swiss Army knife at the safety position. and you swung out on Marcus Williams in the offseason. So that is my focus. So I'm going to try to trade down here, the 18th overall selection. I want to get their 22nd pick. And then let's see if I can collect one of their fourth round picks, maybe 132. And I think I can get a third out of them, to be honest with you. And we'll throw in a 5, right? I think that's good value. You move up 2 rounds and you move down 4 spots in the first round. Let's see if the Packers are willing to bite and go with a wide receiver. They are biting. The Packers move up to 18 overall, and they do just that. They select Chris Olave from Ohio State. Malik Willis goes 19 to the Saints. Desmond Ridder to the Steelers at 20. This would be ideal for the Eagles if they don't want a quarterback because there's a run on signal callers. Zion Johnson as well. Don't want a lineman. Great way this played out. It pushes some safeties and receivers still down the board. Again, man, they would probably take Treylon Burks here, and maybe that is the better call. I'm changing my mind, I think. The available safeties, Daxton Hill, Lewis Cine, Jaquan Brisker, Jalen Petrie. You know what? Let's do it. I'm going to move up for a safety in the second round. I'm going to do a trade down from 18 and a trade up from 51. Howie Roseman loves to move. I think this is a likely scenario. There's enough safety depth, and I think these guys, there's going to be more of a run on receivers and safeties. So of these players, Treylon Burks, Jahan Dotson, Sky Moore, and Christian Watson, I like Treylon Burks the best. It may be between him and Watson, but I'm going to go with Treylon Burks. This guy, I had the most fun watching Burks of all of these wide receivers. To be that physical, to be nearly 6'3", have that run after the catch ability, that long range speed. I know everybody's giving him Deebo Samuel comparisons. I think it's more, I don't know, to be honest, I think he's more like DK Metcalf. Like, I don't think he's that physically dominant, but he does have that takeover ability and he can do it all. Like, I don't know if he doesn't have the quick twitch of Garrett Wilson, the short area explosiveness, but he's a builder and he's physical and he's not going to get moved off his spot when he's playing X receiver. And he did have really good numbers against press man coverage last year. So Treylon Burks with Quez Watkins and Devontae Smith with Dallas Goedert and Miles Sanders, like, that's a really good situation to have. And again, receiver wise, it's not as big a need as safety, as corner, heck, maybe even, a defensive lineman or linebacker. But in the first round, the value, I think, is just going to be too good to get one of those guys, even if you move down. Treylon Burks at 22, he's my third overall receiver. Some have him as their top wideout, and they think he could maybe, go as the first receiver off the board. So if you can get him there, trade down, collect an extra third, and you get your corner with Andrew Booth, yeah, that's definitely ideal. And this is exactly what I wanted to do here. This is why I paused the mock right on this trade offer from Doug Peterson and Trent Baalke and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jacksonville offered to move down from the 33rd pick here in round 2 to 51 with the Eagles, and we would give them the 3rd round pick that we just got from Green Bay, number 92. So you move up almost 20 spots. You move up 18 spots up the board. You go get your safety. You only give up a third that you basically didn't have anyway, right? You still have 2 third-round picks. You got your guy in Treylon Burks. I think this is an ideal scenario, and I'm going to bite. You move the assets that you just got to move down to now go move up. So it's kind of the best of both worlds here. I'm going to do it. So we just made a trade with the Jaguars to get the 33rd overall selection, and I'm going safety here. They have to come away with one of these guys. Daxton Hill and Lewis Cine both off the board. Lewis Cine just went at 30 to the Chiefs. Where did Daxton Hill go? 24 to the Cowboys. I really like Daxton Hill. I think he can absolutely fly. And I think the Eagles would like him the best for his cornerback skills. I think he's the best safety deep in the backfield. But my favorite safety personally is Jaquan Brisker, who did have an official top 30 visit with the Eagles, the local kid from the Nittany Lions. Brisker is a do-it-all player, again, that Swiss Army knife safety that this team desperately needs. So we moved up in round 2 to get the safety. Again, I said at corner, Howie Roseman has taken 1 in the first 2 rounds, Sidney Jones in 2017. At safety, he has not taken 1 since Jaquan Jarrett in 2011. He went back-to-back years in the second round, Nate Allen in 2010 with that McNabb pick, and then it was Jarrett in round 2 in 2011. He hasn't done it since. And you didn't have to when you had the long-term stability of Malcolm Jenkins and Rodney McLeod, but you haven't had that now for 2 years. This is a reactive pick. So you got to do it, though. You got to get a long-term piece here. You can't run in the season with Anthony Harris and Marcus Epps and Kevon Wallace. It's just not the way to do it. So our first 3 picks, Andrew Booth, the corner from Clemson, Treylon Burks, the wide receiver from Arkansas after moving down to 22. Then we trade up to 33 to take Penn State safety Jaquan Brisker. Coming up next on Locked On Eagles, Mock Draft Monday continues. We will get into rounds 3 through 4. I'll say we'll do those 3 picks, and then we'll finish up the show segment 3 with those final day 3 selections. But guys, first want to give a shout out to one of our sponsors today. It's Athletic Greens. Our next partner at Athletic Greens, they have a product I have used literally every day for the last couple months. I started taking Athletic Greens because I simply don't have enough time in the day to prepare the amount of healthy meals that I need to get through the day. With the NFL draft right now, doing things for Locked On, Fox 43, got a day job too. The grind is real both day and night, and I needed the energy. More energy. Started relying on caffeine. Just was not the move. So I've been on Athletic Greens now for a few months, and I absolutely love it. It doesn't taste healthy either. It has a mild tropical flavor that I'm really into. And I really look forward to it each morning when I'm preparing for the show, writing articles for Fox, editing video. It really gets me through the morning. So what is the stuff, though? Well, with one delicious scoop of Athletic Greens, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day right. This special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, and aging. All of those things. I've sent it over to my brothers now in Florida and Buffalo. They're loving it as well. It supports better sleep quality, recovery, supports mental clarity and alertness. It's the one thing with all of the best things. And it costs you less than $3 a day. You're investing in your health, and it's cheaper than your cold brew habit. Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition, especially heading into the flu and cold season and allergies, man. I'll tell you, it'll help you get through that season as well. It's just one scoop in a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/NFL Network. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/NFL Network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. All right, Eagles fans, Louis DiBiase here on this final Mock Draft Monday of the 2022 offseason. And thank you so much for making Locked On Eagles your first listen each and every day. For a big announcement, too, the first time ever, Locked On's hosting live coverage of the 2022 NFL Draft from our studios in Dallas with pick-by-pick analysis from our local team of experts, including me and draft gurus. Tune in all 3 days as our draft team guides you through every pick and every trade in real time. It all starts on Thursday, April 28th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, available on Locked On NFL on YouTube and on the Odyssey app. Again, today is our final Mock Draft Monday of 2022. Let's take a look at so far what I've done. This is a very Howie Roseman draft, I kind of think. Moving up the board, moving down the board. So we sat tight at 15 and took Andrew Booth, the corner from Clemson. We moved down with the Green Bay Packers from 18 to 22, collected an extra 3rd-round pick, got Treylon Burks from Arkansas. Then we used that pick to move up from 51 to 33 to go get the safety of the future, Jaquan Brisker from Penn State, my number 1 safety on the board. Overall in my rankings, if you can come away with Booth, Burks, and Brisker, look, I think the Eagles are going to take at least 1 lineman in this draft, but this is what they should do. And so I wanted to do one final mock draft my way. And so Booth, Burks, and Brisker, the 3 Bs, that would be my mindset here in the draft. Let's take a look now at what we have to work with at pick 83. So now I'm thinking probably edge. I think this edge class is deep, but there's probably a drop off after 83. You've got your corner, safety, and receiver, maybe linebacker. Let's see what linebackers are available. I like Troy Anderson. I really like Brandon Smith from Penn State. Let's take a look at the edge rushers available. Sam Williams from Ole Miss, Drake Jackson from USC, Tyreek Smith from Ohio State. I like Najee Sanders from Cincinnati. Let's take an edge rusher here. I don't want these guys to fall any farther. A player here that's ranked 94 overall from the Draft Network, I think is actually more of a 2nd-round prospect with day 1 upside. It's Drake Jackson from USC. We're going to take him from USC. I have a good friend that's a scout at USC, and I've heard some things about his effort that are a little concerning. But at the same time, the tools are there, And you do see when he is giving it 110% on the field, he is a force. If he can get more counter moves, his length, get off, explosiveness, bend, I think he's a good developmental project to be behind Josh Sweat, Hassan Riddick, Brandon Graham, and Derek Barnett, right? And then maybe Brandon Graham doesn't pan out after another year, or Derek Barnett, you get rid of him after a year, and then Drake Jackson is ready in year 2 to move into that rotation. So we get a lineman. The Eagles take linemen. It's what they do. You know they're taking at least 1 or 2 with those top 5 picks, but again, I think sometimes they go too overboard with the trenches, and this is my ideal scenario because, again, the edge group is deep, and you can get a guy like Drake Jackson potentially at 83. I want to come away with a linebacker now, and the guy that is available still that I really like is another Penn State unicorn. It's Brandon Smith from the Nittany Lions. Brandon Smith is more raw to me than Troy Anderson and Chandon Tyndall from Georgia, maybe even Darian Beavers from Cincinnati, but he's like a poor man's build-wise Devin Lloyd. Like if you miss out on Devin Lloyd in the first round or you pass on him, and you still want that lengthy, explosive, powerful linebacker that can cover so much space so quickly. Like his closing speed is so impressive. It's kind of why you liked Davian Taylor and why you signed Kazir White. Brandon Smith, again, a little more raw when it comes to his mental processing of coverage and watching the play, be created. But he's so reactionary and instinctive that you have a lot of traits to work with there. Between Smith, White, and Taylor, you hope at least 2 of those guys can become every down linebackers. And so I'm going to take Brandon Smith from Penn State. Traits. Go watch his highlights even on YouTube. He is a fun study. And I think this is more realistic for what the Eagles are going to do at linebacker. Again, I think they hope that at least one of Kazir White or Davian Taylor become a long-term piece. Like White's only on a 1-year deal, but he's coming off a career year. Davian Taylor took some huge steps last year, but he's coming off an injury, so we have to see if he can truthfully stay healthy. I wouldn't bank on both panning out. So, double down, and between the 3, Brandon Smith, Davian Taylor, and Kazir White, I think you got at least 2 long-term pieces there. Not to mention you still do have TJ Edwards as well. So we've gone mostly defense. Only one offensive position here. Treylon Burks at 22. We've gone corner, safety, edge, and linebacker on defense. I'm thinking now, with this 4th round pick at 124, I'm thinking running back or tight end, right? I think you could use a role player, maybe the replacement for Miles Sanders eventually. I love Pierre Strong Jr. from South Dakota State on the board here. Brian Robinson as well from Alabama. I like Kyron Williams as well from Notre Dame. I know he tested really poorly at the combine, ran a way slower 40 than I thought, but I thought he had good receiving skills and short area explosiveness with the Fighting Irish. So I like those 3 running backs. Let's take a look at tight end. Oh, man. My boy Jake Ferguson's on the board from Wisconsin. I love me some Jake Ferguson. Again, I think running back would be – there's more of a chance you need a running back long-term if Miles Sanders doesn't get a second contract, but I think he's going to. And so I would rather take the tight end 2 instead of your RB2A, 2B with Kenny Gainwell, right? So I'm going to wait on running back. I think there's some better options too later on compared to tight end. And I'm going to take my guy, Jake Ferguson. I just think he's going to be the perfect tight end too. Like, yeah, he doesn't have the upside of Jelani Woods. He doesn't have that speed. He's not as big, but he's a big dude with a big catch radius. And I think he has the best hands of this tight end class. He's just so reliable. I think I made the comparison a few weeks ago. He's the Jahan Dotson of the tight end class. Like, not sexy, but I just think he's going to be probably like the 6th or 7th player off the board at his position, like Dotson. But a team's just going to get a damn good, like, B-graded player. And if you can get that behind Dallas Goedert in round 4, to me, that's too good a value to pass up. Guys, I think this is turning into my favorite mock draft we've done so far. I'm in love with what we've done. I really am. I really like the job we've done. So props to me. Let's take a look now at 154 in round 5. We could go running back. I don't really love the options here, to be honest with you. I think there was a drop off. Hassan Haskins from Michigan, top player on the board. There's no way this team probably doesn't take an offensive lineman. Let's see on the interior. I like Chris Paul from Tulsa. Yeah, I think this would probably be where they take a lineman. I think they would go more with a guard, right? Because tackle, you're pretty set right now. So I'm going to take Chris Paul from Tulsa. Again, this is more what I would do in the mock draft, But I think, and again, there was a report today, they like the kid from Nebraska, Jurgensen, potentially for that second round pick. So they still could go offensive line, but I think it would be a reach in that day one and maybe even day two. Like, I'd understand it. And again, I'll never stick my nose up at it, especially if you address the other positions I want. But I probably will stick my nose up at it if it's early enough. Like, if you take an offensive lineman around 3, I won't be mad, but I don't want one in the first 2 rounds. I simply don't. You have long-term pieces. You have options on the outside and the inside. You have stars all across the board. I know Jason Kelsey's going to leave soon. And maybe you want Dickerson and Sayamalu to stay at guard. But between those two, Driscoll and Herbig, I just think you have too many good options right now in-house, and you need to address these other positions. And I simply think the value at other positions are better anyway. I think you'd be forcing your philosophy with the offensive line. So I'm going to wait and do what they did in 2020, get a guy like Jack Driscoll on day 3 and look at what Driscoll's done. I think and they find guys with Jeff Stoutland too. He develops players in day 3. Look at Jordan Mailata. Look at Nate Herbig. That kid was undrafted. And I think he's a starter at the right guard position. Like, if he's your 5th starting offensive lineman, your worst offensive lineman, that's a really good situation to have. And he's dirt cheap. So that's the strategy I would take. And I went with Chris Paul at Tulsa at 154. We're at 162 here in round 5. Taking a look at running back again, the board hasn't really changed. I like Abram Smith from Baylor, really good contact balance. I'm pissed that Rachaad White went off the board from Arizona State. I think Jerome Ford actually might be the most exciting player left here. I think he has underrated downhill speed. He didn't really get to receive the football a whole lot at Cincinnati. Desmond Ridder didn't throw to the running back a whole lot, but I like Jerome Ford. Let's take a look at corner, though. Maybe we'll double dip. Don't love it. Interior defensive line, quite a drop-off here with those prospects as well. Another receiver, maybe we take like a returner. Ooh, that could be an option, right? With J.J. Arcega-Whiteside moving to tight end. You know, you've got now Treylon Burks, Devontae Smith, and Quez Watkins. But outside of that, you do have Zach Pascal too. But I do like a guy like Bo Melton from Rutgers. Yeah, value-wise, I think that's too good to pass up. I think Bo Melton, the kid's got like 4.36 speed. Super versatile player, can be your, to make a Bills comparison, your Isaiah McKenzie. Let's go with Bo Melton. Let's take our second receiver off the board here, the wide receiver from Rutgers. And again, this is more with a focus on kick returning and punt returning, which the Eagles have been abysmal at. They used to be the best team in the league at that spot for a long time, but lately it's been the complete opposite. All right, we'll wrap up this mock draft and recap it. Coming up next is the final mock draft Monday of 2022. I know, very sad, but so excited to get ready for the draft. Guys, today's show is sponsored by Built Bar. It is the best tasting protein bar on the planet by far. You'd think that you're eating a candy bar. It's so delicious. It's covered in 100% chocolate. It's soft. It's easy to chew. It's all of the flavor and none of the guilt of that Hershey's, Reese's Cup, whatever your sweet tooth is. Compare the calorie count of Built Bars to a candy bar. Built Bar, 130. A candy bar, 240. Grams of sugar. Built Bars, 4 grams. A candy bar, 30 grams. Candy bars also have dozens of net carbs. Built Bars only have 4 and 17 grams of protein, guys. Replace your candy bar with a Built Bar, and there's flavors for everybody. Mint brownie, coconut almond, white chocolate cookies and cream, peanut butter brownie. They've got now protein-infused marshmallow bars, cinnamon churro flavors with that, coconut marshmallow, banana cream pie. So many delicious flavors. Check them out today at Built.com, and make sure you use the promo code LOCKED15. It's LOCKED15 to get 15% off of your order. Once again, use the promo code LOCKED15, LOCKED15, for 15% off your next order at Built.com. All right, Eagles fans, welcome back into the final mock draft Monday of the 2022 NFL offseason. We thank you so much for making Locked On Eagles your first listen each and every day, recapping the final mock of the year. And guys, I've said it a few times, but honestly, I think I saved my best work for last. And I don't know how realistic this will be, because I think the Eagles are going to take at least 1, maybe 2 linemen with those picks they have in the first 3 rounds, those 5 selections. But this is the way they should do it, if you ask me. So let's recap it. 15th overall, the Eagles select Andrew Booth, the corner from Clemson. Then we traded down with the Packers. We let them move up from 22 to 18 to get the receiver they wanted, which was Chris Olave from Ohio State. The Eagles think receiver, it's deep. We're comfortable with those 6 players that I mentioned. Let's move down. Let's collect an extra third round pick. Now we have 3. We have 6 picks on day 1, day 2. We're going to take Treylon Burks from Arkansas, who, look, I would have been comfortable with at 15 or 18. You get him at 22 and collect a pick, all in on that scenario. And then we move that third to go up from 51 to 33 with Jacksonville and get our safety of the future, Jaquan Brisker from Penn State. And because I think the edge class is deep, we waited until 83 overall and we took Drake Jackson from USC. And then we took a guy with a lot of upside. This is very Davian Taylor-esque in 2020 with the upside, a low floor, but Brandon Smith from Penn State is long. He is rangy. He's, again, definitely raw with processing and with things like that. But man, is he a violent tackler, and I think he can move really well in space. So I think that's a great pick at 101 to go with Kazir White, Davian Taylor, and TJ Edwards. I think there are some good players on day 2 or day 3 at linebacker. Howie Roseman, I think this year there's a better chance than ever that he goes higher than that. It sounds like he's way more open to it. But again, I'm going to go based off their history and take a linebacker in round 3, which is normally where they take their players. And then I got my boy, Wisconsin tight end Jake Ferguson at 124, round 4. That's a my guy for me. Perfect tight end 2 behind Dallas Goedert. I'm not buying into this JJ Arcega-Whiteside crap. To me, like, can he even separate against linebackers? Like, are we banking on that? Because I'm not. I think that experiment's dead. I feel like they're trying to get anything out of JJ as possible so they can, again, not justify the second round pick, but make it seem like they at least got something out of him. To me, call a spade, take the L, move on, take a guy like Jake Ferguson in this deep tight end class and just focus on that. I'm not in on the Arcega-Whiteside experiment anymore. I don't think he should be on the roster, wasting a spot. I'd rather keep up with the Tyree Jackson experiment and Jack Stahl. Like, are one of those two guys going to get cut now for JJ? I don't think he can even separate against athletic linebackers. Like, you could put Brandon Smith on JJ, and I don't know if he can separate. And then we finish it off with an interior offensive lineman from Tulsa, Chris Paul. And then not the Chris Paul that's blowing it right now with Phoenix, but a lineman. And then we wrap things up with our second receiver, Bo Melton, the receiver/return specialist from Rutgers. Great short area explosiveness, good run after the catch ability, can be your Isaiah McKenzie. And I really liked his work at the Senior Bowl. The Eagles did meet with him as well, so he can round out your top 5 receivers with Greg Ward as your 6th. So that's going to do it for Mock Draft Monday this year. Again, guys, thank you so much for interacting with the show all draft season long. Mock Draft Monday has always been, to me, the listener's favorite show. And so we appreciate you guys always tuning in. And it's time now to see what actually happens. Thursday at 7:30. Gino and I are going to go live at 7 o'clock. You've got the Locked On live show as well at 7. So make sure you subscribe to our channels on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter. Make sure also to subscribe to the podcast on all platforms because we still got a show tomorrow and Wednesday. We're doing our rankings for corner, safety, and linebacker still. 3 spots the Eagles need. And then it's the draft. We start reacting to the actual picks on Thursday and Friday. Once again, thanks so much for making Locked On Eagles your first listen each and every day. Now, make sure your second listen is the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast with Ryan Tracy and former NFL cornerback Eric Crocker. They bring the draft to life every day, and they're going to get you ready this final week for Thursday through Saturday. As always, thank you guys so much for downloading, watching, and listening, and let's go Birds.